What's up, guys? Bringing clarity. It's been a long time, but so at church on a new series called One Another, and this week was kind of about like caring and compassion, and so the pastor was actually told this really great story. Like, I loved it, and it was just like so powerful. It definitely, captured this whole, feeling to it. Like, people, may say bad things or even do bad things to you, and, you will, it'll stick with you for a long time. And, like, I know that, words are powerful, actions are even more powerful, but, the wrong ones will leave a impact on you and it'll affect you. It's always about having a positive impact on people and even positive words towards people. But the story that I'm gonna show you guys is just amazing. Like, you'll love it. I love this series, learning so much from it and growing so much from it. So you guys just enjoyed this video, and yeah, God bless.
Or thought of us, and we can't seem to get past it. I read a story about a little girl named Margaret. When she was just 9 years old, she had a horrifying thing happen to her. She grew up in a little small town. She was in a little one-room schoolhouse. When she was 7 years old, they got a new teacher to the schoolhouse. Her name was Miss Garner. And Miss Garner and Margaret, for reasons that Margaret couldn't quite understand, they just didn't get along. She was always picking on her, always saying mean things to her. Well, for 2 years this went on, and then it hit its maximum level when she was 9 years old. Margaret was kind of a pediddler. She pediddled over here and pediddled over there, and she was late a lot of the time. And so here she is in recess, and she comes in last, and Miss Garner let it rip. She said, "Here we are again, Margaret. How many times have I told you you need to be on time? You had to make the rest of the class wait for you to come walking in this room. This is ridiculous." Well, Margaret, today we're going to teach you a lesson. And maybe this will be a defining moment of your life where you can stop being such a bad little girl and start being a good little girl. She said to the class, 25 kids in the classroom, she said, "I want each of you to come up here, and I want you to grab this piece of chalk, and I want you to write a sentence about Margaret's badness. Margaret, you stand up here and you watch the rest of your classmates write sentences about you." And one by one, the kids came up and they wrote their horrifying things to her. Miss Garner said, in hopes that Margaret would change her ways, they wrote things like, "Margaret is useless. Margaret is stupid. Margaret is dumb. Margaret is fat." On and on and on. They would go all the way down the list of 25 things. That poor little girl went home that night, couldn't eat any dinner, went to bed. She hoped she could sleep the pain away, but the pain continued. In fact, for the next 40 years, she lived with the nightmare of that moment. And to her shock and dismay, in her mind, she had become all the things that those kids had written down on that board. She was anxious. She was depressed. She said, "I can't keep living my life this way." So she went and saw a counselor. She had therapy for 2 years. Finally, on the final session, the graduation day, the therapist said, "I want to make certain you're ready to move forward with your life. So I want you to go through that morning one more time when you were 9 years old and those kids wrote those things down about you." Well, that would have been hard for Margaret. She'd replay that in her mind thousands, maybe even millions of times. So she closed her eyes and she began to talk about the first child that came up and what they wrote, and the second child and what they wrote. And it took all the emotional energy she had. And when she finally got done, she just broke down and she cried and she wept. Finally, she regained her composure, and the counselor said, "Now you've left one person out." And Margaret said, "No, I haven't. I've replayed that in my mind thousands of times. I didn't leave anybody out. I remembered everybody and everything that they said about me." He said, "Margaret, close your eyes. You forgot one more person." Margaret closed her eyes. He said, "Do you see him? He's all the way in the back." And he's walking now towards Miss Garner. He's taking the piece of chalk and he's walking over to the chalkboard. But he's not writing anything down, Margaret. He's grabbing the eraser instead. And what's he doing? He's erasing all 25 of those things that were said about you, Margaret. All those awful, horrible things are being erased. And now he's writing new things on the board. "Margaret is priceless. Margaret is precious. Margaret is beautiful. Margaret is my child." Do you recognize him? That's Jesus writing those things up there for you. Margaret began to cry. And her tears turned from weeping into tears of joy. She said for the first time in her life, she didn't feel useless. For the first time in her life, she didn't feel like she was less than. For the first time in her life, she no longer felt condemned. I wonder how many of us in this place have been wounded by the words of somebody else, and you carry around that pain, you carry around what they said, you carry around those scars, and it's affecting your life today. Stop remembering what they said about you and start remembering what God thinks of you. God loves you. You are a child of God. You are precious in His sight. You are valuable, so valuable that He sent His Son to die on a cross and rise again from the dead just to have a relationship with you. You are not what somebody else says about you. You are what God says about you. Now today we're continuing our little series.
Hey guys, hope you liked the video. Like I said, it was really powerful. Definitely impacted me. Just one thing that we can take from it is, no matter the bad situations, the bad words, or the bad actions towards us, just know that Jesus will erase all of those and create new in you, and create a new life for you, and just show love towards you, and just love you, and forget the whole past. I mean, everything is new. It's a new slate. It's a new, it's a new life, new journey. So go ahead and just live it. Love God, and like my church says, know Christ and make Christ known. Love you guys.